Well, before I get into telling you why you're here, if I can explain it well enough to have us all understand, and you certainly will by the end of the day, I do want to say thank you for the support that we've gotten from the staff at UWT and the Port and EDB. I'm telling you, we are so lucky in this community to have such competent, professional, committed people to make a day like this happen, and I just wanted to publicly thank them. So let's give them a hand, can we? And I also want to say a shout out to my co-chair, Bruce Kendall. Bruce and I have been working on this for a couple of years now, and I've got to tell you, Mr. Kendall, you are Mr. Make It Happen. And thank you very, very much. Okay. Now I'm going to try my best to tell you why we're here. And I also do want to thank Chancellor, did she leave? No, there you are. Chancellor Friedman for making possible for us to be in this room. It's a great place for us to convene. And we're very glad that you all came today and to add your ideas and thoughts to Wellspring 2012 and our agenda to create a hub in Tacoma-Pierce County for environmental solutions focused on water quality. That's why we're here. A couple of years ago, a few of us gathered for dinner to explore the idea of having Tacoma-Pierce County become a center for environmental solutions focused on water as another avenue to create economic benefit and innovative attention on our community. Bruce Kendall at EDB picked up the idea from this dinner and included it in his community discussion of ways to put Tacoma on the map with ideas for new economic development. The idea became one of EDB's 5 economic cluster development goals. He and I became co-chairs of this group and invited others to join our discussion. That discussion group included members from our universities, from the private sector, from the city, the county, and state government, and became the think tank to create a path to achieve the vision of making Tacoma-Pierce County a recognized center for solutions to clean up and protect water resources. Our vision is to bring ideas and solutions in manufacturing, services, support systems, and gatherings like this that will show Tacoma is the place to be to solve clean water problems. We chose a name for our group. We are the Water Partners of Tacoma. We solicited contributions from the Port of Tacoma, the City of Tacoma, the Economic Development Commission of the state, and EDB. We used this small cachet to hire Rusty George Creative to put up a website showing the resources to solve water problems that we already have here, and you can see that at www.waterworkshere.com. We spent the other part of our funds hiring Burke Associates to do a feasibility study outlining the resources we have, the needs that could be identified, possible additional partners, and ways forward toward achieving our vision. That Burke report is on the EDB website, and you can see the whole thing, and it's very interesting to read, actually. After receiving the report, the partners gathered again and outlined 3 initial goals. The first was to propose to the state to designate the Urban Waters Center and surrounding area as an IPZ, International Partnership Zone, because we feel that the solutions we have and that we will discover can have an economic thrust worldwide. No one would dispute that there is a lot of dirty water around. It's around the world, it's here and there and all over, and most of the world cannot rely on a clean and dependable water supply. There is a lot of work to do. Thanks to UWT and Mike Wark and Martha Anderson from the City of Tacoma, we put together a proposal in just a month to meet the state's deadline for designation. We went to Olympia and presented the proposal and did, in fact, win a designation. This last legislative session actually provided some funds for the research and development of work both at UWT and WSU, the Research Center in Puyallup. Our first goal happened. Next, or simultaneously, EDB took on the task of identifying and attempting to recruit companies to Tacoma-Pierce County who already are manufacturing or providing services focused on clean water. EDB has been in direct contact with over 300 companies nationwide and is focusing their efforts to recruit 23 of them here. Our second goal is on the way. Finally, our third goal was to produce a conference here in Tacoma. Our ideas ran the gamut from national to local and everything in between, and we decided to start with a Tacoma-Pierce County population, both to spread the word of this vision, but more to identify other companies, services, and people right here who are working on problems around clean water. And to bring you together, to share ideas, to create synergy among you, and help us broaden our menu to create economic outcomes. I bet some of you have never seen one another before, and here you're all here because you have something and some interest in water. That's why we're here today. Our, our website shows numerous ways Tacoma and Pierce County is already working on water issues, and the state-of-the-art research and programs to solve our own problems. We want to increase this resource base, so all of us are working together to achieve both your own ambitions and our collective vision of having Tacoma-Pierce County be on the map as a place to be for environmental solutions focused on water quality. It is a bold vision and a big job, and I have absolutely no doubt Tacoma can do it. Thanks for joining us today, and you will hear from the panels, and then, and then we will want to hear from you. Right now, here's a brief PowerPoint showing how we here have succeeded in providing solutions for water problems already. Let it just be the beginning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Connie. It's been a pleasure working with you and so many other people to make this event happen and bring you folks together. Chancellor Friedman, thank you very much for hosting once again a very important economic development, a very important scientific, and a very important academic event in this hall, which a few years ago, some of you may remember, was open to the elements. It was called The Shed. There was a basketball hoop in here. And sometimes you get a pretty good game, but you probably couldn't do what we're doing here today, which is also a pretty good game, actually. It is a chance to share information and share knowledge and build relationships around this question of clean water research, clean water technology, and clean water job creation in Tacoma and Pierce County. I am Bruce Kendall with the Economic Development Board. I'm going to be the MC throughout the day, kind of moving panels back and forth. We've got some excellent technology assistants here from UWT that will be coming up from time to time to make sure things flow, so bear with us as we do that. A couple housekeeping things. Some of you have asked about Wi-Fi. You can access via Wi-Fi, and I'm being handed notes that appear to be identical about how to do that. So I'm going to read to you your net password. I know there was at least a couple people who wanted to know this. So the event conference name is Wellspring 2012. We're at the UW Tacoma Phillip Hall. That's Phillip Hall with one L in Phillip. The net ID, I think I'm now getting to the important information. The net ID is event 0893. Event 0893, and that's all compressed together, no spaces. And the password is, and I will read this twice, 48 PW, that's lowercase pw, semicolon 25 FY, lowercase, semicolon, 43QY. Now, what have we learned? I'll read that again in a second. We've learned that when you're going to have Wi-Fi at an event, it's really a good idea to get this information out in advance. It looks like Deborah is passing this out to the various tables. So I'm actually not going to read that to you again. Deborah Kelly, who helped manage this event and put it together, is handing those out to you all. We have coffee behind me. The speakers will not mind if you get up in the middle of their presentation while listening and go out and get another cup of coffee or a tea or whatever. We'll have different snacks out there during the course of the day. We have 2 networking breaks built into this event, and they're each a half an hour long, maybe longer than you have seen at other events like this, because we want you to meet each other, interact, talk. It's not formatted, it's just a chance to take a little break and meet one another and chat. We have 2 keynotes. We have a morning keynote I'll introduce momentarily. We have a luncheon keynote as well, both bringing a perspective that adds sort of a global context to what we're talking about here today, which we're very much looking forward to. Lunch, the way lunch works is you'll walk out this door, there'll be lunch set up out where the coffee is now. You'll do the buffet line and come back through that door and grab a seat. We have an interactive session or segment at 2:30, and that will include a survey where you'll be voting on some topics that will help drive the conversation for the rest of that hour, because we want to hear from you as much as you're hearing from us and our panelists here today. We will have a survey post-meeting. We're not asking you to write down your comments here today, although we'd be happy to get those. We don't have a formal survey sheet. We'll be sending you all an email that will ask you your opinion about this event, what you got out of it, what you liked, what you didn't like, etc. And last but not least, this is all being recorded by the University of Washington Tacoma, and will be posted on YouTube in the next day or so, and on our website. Joel Baker said he'd make sure it got on the Center for Urban Waters website. I'm sure the rest of you could do the same. So if you know folks that couldn't make it, or if you have to step out and miss part of it and come back, just know that it's being captured that way as well. So that's the housekeeping information that we wanted to make sure we shared with you. So what I'm going to do is move through a little history lesson, recent history lesson, to give you all a sense of the way we've thought about where we've been and why this suggests to us that we have some special things and some special expertise and some globally competitive expertise in this market based on some of the environmental challenges around water that the South Sound has faced and addressed and continues to address, because we haven't solved them all yet in the recent past. So where have we been? This is a visual tour of past successes. ASARCO, most of you are familiar with the ASARCO site, often referred to now as Point Ruston, a multi-use development going in there. It was a smelter for many, many decades. It had a gigantic smokestack, which was removed a number of years ago. The contamination issues there have been addressed in a very aggressive way and continue to be addressed. You now see, if you've driven down there, and if you haven't, I encourage you to do so, the Cohen group developing out the Point Ruston multi-use complex. Those are the Copper Line apartments on the right that are under construction right now, and in front of those they plan a condominium project, and in front of that will be an esplanade that'll run along the water. That's just one of many things. The Silver Cloud Hotel is committed to the site as well. Again, a former copper smelter being cleaned up, being put to a higher, a more modern economic use, and giving people access to the water that they haven't had in many, many decades. The new road, or the redone Ruston Way through there that bypasses the old tunnel, opened just earlier this year. Of course, the Foss Waterway, perhaps the media's favorite story about Tacoma and the South Sound in terms of environmental cleanup, what the amazing things that have happened with addressing that part of the Commencement Bay Superfund site. You'll be hearing more about that later. Joel Baker's office, he has a really large office in that after picture there. He's in one corner of that, but he does have a nice view. That's the Center for Urban Waters on the Foss Waterway, LEED Platinum building, one of only a few in the, I believe, in the Northwest or maybe even in the country, but it's a LEED Platinum building. Labs and offices for UW-T scientists, City of Tacoma Environmental Services Group, and the Puget Sound Partnership, and it's maxed out. It's maxed out. You'll hear later today a little bit about the idea of a Center for Urban Waters 2 nearby, which many of us think is a really good idea, and that is where our reception is later this afternoon and tonight. Thank you, hosted by Joel Baker and the University of Washington Tacoma, Deborah Friedman. We really are happy that you'll be opening your doors to us down on the Foss. University of Washington Tacoma, where we sit right now. I love this before picture. That building in the middle with the boarded up windows is the old power plant, which is now the university's library. So if you walk out the door here and look just a little bit over to your right, that's that building. And so that's Commerce Street running by there. And this is a view of today, looking at we're coming from the other direction. You're looking kind of down on the library building. So reuse of old warehouse district in Tacoma. This is another look up the hill toward the Swiss. I know you all are very, very familiar with the Swiss and the old Tioga building. And this after shot, it's kind of hard to see, that's a rain garden on campus near the newly redeveloped Tioga building. So again, another one of our success stories in Tacoma and Pierce County. Both Connie and Chancellor Friedman mentioned the WSU Puyallup Research and Extension Center, and these are current photos. We don't have an after in this case, but some of the great work doing around some of the work on porous asphalts and ways of developing urban environments that require hard surfaces to be more favorable to the environment. John Stark is planning to be here today, and so we look forward to hearing more from him about that. Pacific Plaza in downtown Tacoma, a former parking garage, still a parking garage, but a rather dilapidated one, or one that had kind of fallen on some hard times. This is a very creative public-private partnership between the City of Tacoma and Pacific Plaza Development. Retained the parking spaces, which is important downtown, actually added about 100 more, added 2 floors of Class A office, reconstructed the hill climb next to the building, which had been closed for a while, up to the street above. And some of you have had the opportunity to see the really cool rooftop green garden that's on the top of that building that is watered using recycled water that's collected off of the facility. Cheney Stadium, because it's baseball playoffs, we had to have a baseball thing. So Cheney Stadium got rehab, but some of you may not have known that it included some very important environmental water-related elements, porous asphalt, rain gardens, a very much more environmentally sensitive facility than it was before. The Port of Tacoma has done some amazing work with wetlands restoration. This is the Gogli-Haiti wetland, which was a former city landfill along the Puyallup River that's now this fabulous wetland, man-made, thousands of plants, hundreds of types of birds now occupy that site. And during high tide, this is tidally influenced, it's that far down off the Puyallup, there are salmon that return to this site during high tide. Clear Creek is another Port of Tacoma success story. They built an outlet channel on this tidal mudflat refuge bay, a salmon sluice you can see on the right side. Again, this is another tributary off of the Puyallup River. And then a third Port of Tacoma environmental project, cleanup project, Place of Circling Waters. And by the way, the Puyallup Tribe of Indians have been a fabulous partner in all of this work, including ceremonially, but also scientifically and in the naming of these sites. This is a 26-acre habitat site on the mouth of the Hylebos Creek that features valuable intertidal marsh, stream channels, and forested open space. When they built this, they had to remove 255,000 tons of contaminated material to make this happen. So another success story. And we've learned from all of these, which gives us some expertise, we believe, that can help the world. And that's one of the connections we're trying to make here. Kaiser, many of you heard the stack fall, or at least the explosion that caused the stack to fall in 2006. A former aluminum manufacturing facility that's now converted to a terminal for the Port of Tacoma and its customers. And the Port of Tacoma continues to be the largest single economic driver in Tacoma Pierce County. Having said that, I think John Wolf, who's here today, would agree, the director of the port, and thanks for being here, John, he would agree that we need lots of economic drivers. So, but the Port of Tacoma has really been fabulous in many respects, both on the environmental side and on the business side. They recycled 150 million pounds of metal from this site, which was actually turned out to be quite valuable on the open market. Steel, copper, aluminum, lead, concrete, and oil that was found on the site they were able to recycle and sell. Chambers Bay, our regional wastewater treatment plant. This is sort of today and what tomorrow, we hope tomorrow looks like. You can see, don't try to identify all those buildings, but you can see 2012 is their footprint today on the shores of Puget Sound, and 2016, or the one on the right is where they expect to be in 2016. When you're in economic development, if you don't have robust wastewater facilities, you're not in economic development. You cannot grow. Yes, we need to cut down on the waste streams, but on the other hand, there will be waste streams, and how we deal with those is very, very important. Chambers Bay has put in some really innovative machinery. This is a unit that it's a patented, I'm going to read this because I'm not a scientist, Animox bacteria technology facility or plant that helps treat the wastewater that comes through the facility. And of course, you can't talk about Chambers Bay without talking about the reclaimed gravel mine, 100 years of gravel pulled out of that site by a variety of firms. Pierce County owns it now. Denise Dyer's here, head of the director of Pierce County's Economic Development Department, and of course, site of the U.S. Amateur in 2010, and now soon to be the U.S. Open in 2015. That gravel, by the way, built much of Interstate 5 from here to Mexico over those obviously before I-5 was built, it was used for other things, but a very valuable resource that was played out, and so what do you do? And I think this reclaiming example is about the best one we could imagine. Spanaway Creek, these are some smaller projects that are worth noting, and there are things like this that happen all over Pierce County, but we've, again, learned from these experiences. This is the Spanaway Creek outfall retrofit. This helps deal with stormwater from local roads that discharges into Spanaway Creek right now untreated. So the county, this is a Pierce County project, is retrofitting the existing storm drainage system with water quality devices to improve the condition of Spanaway Creek. And then another Pierce County project, the Bonnie Lake Fir Ridge, is a housing development, 170 or so units, a new infiltration pond. Again, we do these in a variety of places across the county, but this is a really good current example where stormwater is being intercepted and diverted into an additional piece of land that the county owns. They're not taking private land to do this in the basin, which will increase the treatment capacity and prevent localized flooding. So wanted to share those with you as some of them are really obvious. We've talked about them for a long time, the Foss Waterway, some of the port projects, the Point Ruston development, but some maybe lesser known that are equally important in terms of our background in this market of understanding how to deal and learning how to deal with water-related problems. So that's to kind of whet your appetite a little bit. We're going to shift to a more specific conversation about, or presentation about, how we look at these assets in this market from an economic development perspective. Because we know enough now and have enough in this market, thank you, right now, to be able to sell this place as we believe, as a place where companies and smart individuals like yourselves who've already made the decision to be here need to be if they want to be part of global water solutions. It's a pretty bold statement. We're probably not all the way there yet. We know we're not all the way there yet. That's one of the reasons for this conference. But we know enough to be more than a little dangerous out there in a very competitive world. So from the Economic Development Board's perspective, we look at the world this way. We're a private corporation that's charged with bringing private sector jobs into this market and keeping the ones we have here now in primary industries. And a primary industry is one that's making a product or service here and selling it outside this market. And so what we see being able to happen here in water and water technology is firms emerging that access the great science that's going on here and the great public work that's going on here and be able to market that around the world. And this becoming a place, as Connie said, where people have to be if they want to be in that space and be competitive in that space. So our goal is on private job creation and capital investment. We do this, really it's about the people. It's about career and job opportunities for the people who live in Pierce County now. It's indisputable in our research that the more primary businesses you have, the more competitive clusters you have like clean water technology, the more job and career opportunities there are going to be for the people in that market. If you're just a retail center, for example, and we're far more than that, you're just recirculating existing dollars. This is about creating industries that bring new dollars into the marketplace, and with that comes new opportunities. We talk a lot about clusters in our work, cluster acceleration. Very simply, these are geographic concentrations of companies and institutions and governments that have developed a particular area of expertise, and they feed off one another in a positive way in terms of driving it's competitive, but it drives innovation, it drives job creation. The two favorite examples you hear and read about in the literature are Silicon Valley, and there's no magic to that location in particular in terms of geography. What's magic is Stanford and Hewlett-Packard having been started there many, many years ago, and from that has emerged what you see as Silicon Valley now. Hollywood's another example where if you're going to be in the movie business in the world, you pretty much have to, at some point or another, make your way to Hollywood. That is a cluster of expertise that they have there. In Puget Sound, it's aerospace. There are two places in the world that are expert in aerospace. One is Toulouse, France, where Airbus does final assembly. Arguably, they're similar to us in many respects. And of course, Puget Sound. Now, we all know you can't be complacent about this stuff. You can lose what you're ahead in, but we are still ahead in aerospace. We think water and clean water technology and clean water expertise can be that kind of place for us. Will we become aerospace tomorrow? No way. Maybe not in our lifetimes in terms of size, but we have a real opportunity here. So Connie mentioned waterworkshere.org. This is the landing site or the website where we first expressed and continue to express some of these. These are just a few of the assets, and in your packet on the table is a printout of what I'm putting up here, so don't feel like you have to be able to read all this stuff. But if you go there, you can see we've broken out what some of our key assets are, and we work on, we think about how to use these to recruit companies that aren't here now into this market. And Bill Stewart's here, who's our lead recruiter on clean water technology, and Bill will tell you that we know the story, and we like to tell it, and we all like to tell it, but you get out of Puget Sound, in some cases, you get out of the South Sound, no one knows our story. So a lot of this is telling the story. We'd encourage you to become evangelists for what's happening here as you talk to neighbors, friends, when you travel especially, the person next to you on the plane. Talk this stuff up, and we're happy to follow up with anybody who you might think might have an interest in learning more about this market. So you can see on that sheet that's at your place, I won't read this to you, what some of our key assets are. We've already talked about a number of those. What we've done sort of from a macro level and where we think we're going. We created this site, by the way. You'll see that up in the upper right-hand corner. We were still calling ourselves Urban Waters at that point, not Center for, but just this was the term that seemed to resonate the most. And we're now the Water Partners of Tacoma, so we'll be switching that out. And if you want to become a member of Water Partners of Tacoma, it's free. Just let us know, and we'll get you hooked up. Jim Parvey is a member of Water Partners of Tacoma, so who wouldn't want to be a part of that? So that's how we look at this stuff from an economic development perspective. And by the way, Connie mentioned that we've got a pipeline of about 300 companies that we have had direct contact with. That number's actually gone up a little bit based on Bill Stewart's recent trips. He just recently got back from WEFTEC, which I think many of you are familiar with, the largest, arguably the largest water trade show in the world. He believes, based on his experience there, by the way, the city of Tacoma sent 3 people with Bill from Environmental Services and Economic Development. We really appreciate that. They were recruiting on the conference room floor. The only municipality that was there was Tacoma and us. So it's a big world out there, but we think we're doing some things that might give us a little advantage on this recruitment stuff before others figure it out the way we think we have.